So, Melissa, do you have this?
Hold on. I'm just finishing reading the ZBA part of this.
Okay.
Yes, April, I'm gonna send it to you. Hold on one moment.
I'm not sure I can share it. If you can share it, it might be
Oh,
easier.
okay.
I'll
Wait, put it down.
I'll try.
This one was the one that um was sent to me. Let me try
Yeah,
sharing it
Brennan
for a second.
probably. Well, before you do that,
Yeah,
let's finish going over this particular.
yeah.
This looks more like just essential duties. I imagine that some of this dovetails.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it is the same across, right? Keep minutes, help prepare the annual report. Um, and that some of it is just very generic, right? Create and store project files.
Yeah.
That's true for all three of them as well.
I have to say it's so well organized. That bring
I'm curious, has there been any input from town council on any of these duties? Um, and I would say with an eye towards, the town getting appealed or challenged by someone who didn't get the permit they wanted or somebody who objects to their neighbor getting the permit. Um,
Hmm.
in terms of what the town council wants to see the town retain and keep around in the event of a court case.
I don't know if that's happened previously. I know that for certain documents, there's mandatory lengths of time you have to keep things. I don't think it's a bad idea though to send like our final versions of job descriptions to council just to give them a once over. But I think I know that she would prefer like a finished product to review.
Okay, but that hasn't been done traditionally, I don't believe, but maybe that would make sense for all of them.
I think
Yeah.
this is Nathan, and sorry I'm late. I was just kind of working, and then next thing you know, it's 5:14. But anyway, what Jeff is getting at, I think, is that some of the land use clerk duties that are in here can have implications with respect to bylaw amendments or various business items that come before the various boards and right, so failure to meet some of the requirements can result in say constructive approval of a permit and things like that. And I think just kind of understanding the various where the responsibilities lie, right? Like is probably kind of expanding a little bit on what Jeff's getting at, just to kind of make sure we're
Gotcha.
clear on all of that.
I wonder if that's better like for training docs though, and maybe not for job description. Although we could certainly add something that says, familiarity and understanding of applicable state and local laws as like a catch-all.
Well, maybe just
Yeah,
yeah, go
Well,
ahead, Jeff.
for example, the zoning board and the planning board, we have checklists for special permits, which we
Mhm.
both do, different types, but we both do special permits. We both do site plan review. It also has a checklist. So if there was ever a disgruntled applicant or an abutter or someone who didn't think our process was done correctly, um, those checklists should probably be maintained so that the town could put it out and say, no, here's what we did, here are the dates, here's who did it. This is our completed checklist. We don't have to guess when things happen. They're right here. I mean, things like that would be important. So when the town council has to respond to some type of challenge, she has some materials to go by.
Mhm.
A good file, checklist, all done, um, dates.
Yeah, I believe the Concom files each, Mateo, I'm looking to you to make sure, say this is right, but each of them have a checklist sort of in the front of the file. And it's got each of the, it's got kind of the whole process for an application going through, and you check things and you put the dates next to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't have to go digging through the minutes or the Zoom transcripts to try to find stuff. You have it right there.
Yeah, one of the things that I've been working on also over the past over a year now is digitizing the records for the ZBA and for the Concom,
Hmm.
so that those application files can be accessed. You don't have to be in the building to access it. So a member of the Concom can just say, like, go into that Google Drive and find that folder for that particular property. And that way also people on the commission or on the board can search for, relevant records for that property by property address, as opposed to saying, like, which box is it in? Is it in town hall or old town hall? Which file is it in? And this way it's just all sort of computer searchable. And those files that I'm digitizing include the checklists, include all that information, so that if a question comes up, it can be shared quickly. I do want to in the up on the um, job description here, sort of on the same subject as sort of legal concerns. Under the Conservation Commission, it says assist applicants with project submittal requirements. And I think if language like that is included in the job description, it would probably be better to set something like help answer questions or something like that, because if the land use if there's this implication that the land use clerk is going to help people fill out their application, whether it's a ZBA or planning board or Concom application, that you know that could potentially then expose the town and the clerk to what Jeff is talking about, in terms of somebody then later saying, I was given bad advice, or and challenging a finding or something.
Excellent point, Mateo.
Yeah.
That should probably be stricken.
So Melissa, maybe
Yes.
it's time to put the word, the job description up, the copy you have, so we can start
The
editing.
copy I have is from the one that Brennan sent me was from 2017, I think. Hold on.
It's
Let me
even
bring it up.
newer. Yeah, bring it up.
Oh,
I
is
think
it newer? Okay.
a little bit?
The one is 2018. I'm sorry. All right.
Okay.
Hang on one moment.
I think it was that first one that I had up.
I think it was the first
Yeah.
one he had.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think it was.
that's it.
Let me know
2000.
if this shows.
So we can
You guys can
edit it.
see where my mouse is, right? Because I have 3 screens in front of me, so I just want to make sure I have the right one up.
Yes.
Melissa, only 3?
Yeah, well, I'm
Also-
hesitant to go to 4, although some days it would be helpful.
So just sort of to start the conversation as well, is this a doable position? Is this working well in general to have a land use clerk shared between these different departments? It seems like it is.
Is that for me, Dave? Are you asking me?
Yeah. No
Yeah,
pressure.
Yeah, go ahead.
I can't speak to the experiences of the board members and the chairs. I think that from my perspective, having done it now for a couple of years, it makes a lot of sense to have, to have the overlap with these, particularly the overlap with the ZBA and planning board. The amount of labor involved with supporting the ZBA is pretty minimal, especially with Jeff Lacey as the chair. They don't meet that often, but I think that having one person who overlaps between these 3 boards, it makes a lot of sense. That from my perspective.
I'll just add, I've been consulting to planning and zoning boards for 38 years or so, and I've found that the boards that have a land use clerk type position or a administrator type position almost invariably function much better. It's otherwise you go in and it's like Mo, Larry, and Curly, and it's like who's doing what and where's the files and um, you know, who, so yeah, I think that's I think that's a trend that I've seen borne out over many, many years. And a
Okay.
couple of my recent towns that I've worked with, it's so much easier if you've got a person like that to go through.
All
Yeah,
right, so we're doing the right thing. Yeah, go ahead, Beth.
I was just gonna say, the Conservation Commission, I couldn't function without Mateo. There's too much paperwork and things coming through that, as a chair that has a full-time job, and the Concom benefits immensely from having admin, and like Mateo said, it seems like all three of them have such similarities in a lot of ways that having one position that covers the three of them makes a lot of sense. And of course, unless the town can afford to have, one that could just be devoted to the Concom, that would be wonderful. But I don't think we can afford that. So
No, we'd have to reduce your pay. Okay. So let's go through this line by line and see what kind of changes people are
Melissa, can you
recommending.
go back up? I have one question I have two questions. First, Mateo, are those hours accurate, would you say? To what you actually put in for work? And two, more broadly, reports to select board. I have kind of always been a little unclear because it seems to me like you're reporting to these boards, but ultimately the select board is your hiring authority. So those two things stand out to me as I think, I don't know, at the very least, I need clarification on that.
Yeah, I mean the
I
hour.
think that's, sorry, go ahead, Mateo.
I was going to say on the hours, I think that's probably accurate for particularly like the summer, and
Okay.
it changes based on the nature of what's happening in town. Winter tends to be a little bit slower. There was a lot of catching up with past meeting minutes that were not being recorded for or not being written for a couple of years for the three boards that ate up a lot of hours when I first got started. Those are mostly caught up on now. And again, depends on what's happening in town. If some of the files that I've been going through lately are the 2008 drawdown of the Lake Wyola, when every single person who lived around the lake decided to use that as an opportunity to submit an NOI to the Conservation Commission. And they, Linda must have been juggling 50 or 60 projects. It was, but then there are other times where there's like nothing or just a couple. As far as hiring appointing authority, I mean, I was technically, yes, appointed by the select board, but I think that, my experience was probably the right way to go, which is that the three chairs did the interview, right? And ultimately,
Yeah.
I think the select board deferred to them, but I don't know how the chairs feel about that.
Well,
yeah, I think that makes sense.
yeah, that's that kind of question I'd like to expand on a little bit, right? I think not all these considerations are good to necessarily for the job description per se, right? But there's you have the select board as a hiring authority. I think it's good to have someone like a town administrator that's like maybe more considered like a supervisor, for purposes of professional development, evaluation, any kind of any kind of like HR type situation, right? All that kind of things. And as far as interaction with the boards, I mean, it's we were brought in for the interview process. That makes sense because it's we're the ones that are going to be supported by the position, but we're not so much in a supervisory capacity, but it kind of is, right? Because we may dictate what we need or what we want, right? It's but it's still more of like a partnership than like the kind of relationship that exists with like a supervisory role, right? So I mean, and some of these things, kind of maybe will overlap with different documents or might not go on a job description per se, but I do think it's good to kind of think about that those dynamics and possibly, flesh out some policies at some point. And I feel like I do have to drop off the call. And I just want to note that, as far as the genesis of the planning board bringing this up with the personnel board, right? We just had, a situation where we missed a few notifications as part of a bylaw amendment, right? And, there's people on the board wanted to try and take some corrective action or or action, what have you, to, see that it wasn't, to do what we could to prevent it from happening in the future. At that time, we weren't even aware that these job descriptions existed or, were already there in the land use clerk binder. We knew about the binder, but, so essentially, even just the fact that these are already here and that, we'll be happy to have, whatever kind of cleaned up version you have to be able to, have it and kind of, know that it exists, know where to find it. And, as a tool for kind of continuity of the position and the knowledge that, or the responsibilities involved, right? So that's where we were coming from, at the planning board and starting this conversation up. And I think, we're, just even finding these documents and having them is, pretty much satisfying what we needed from our perspective. So, but it's good to go through them, update them, polish them up, and get some feedback.
Yeah.
So.
So
Will there be a draft that will come out of this that will kind of go out to us for comment, or are you looking to finalize this tonight?
It would be great if we could finalize it tonight, but if you can't be here, I would like to have you look at it before it goes to the select board, which makes sense. And I do like having the report to be the town administrator. I think that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wouldn't want to be the blocker if everyone thinks it's in a good place. I mean, I'm sure Matteo has good comments. We have Jeff Lacy here, if assuming you don't have to jump off too, Jeff. But if the group thinks it's in a good place, I'm okay with it. If you want me to, look at it, I'll be happy to do that too.
yeah. As far as supervisory goes, I've been part of a what was it, a dual. I had two supervisors, and all they did was fight. And you add another one in there, you get three. That's even a bigger fight. I for the zoning board, I have no trouble with the town administrator or the select board, being the unitary supervisor, just as long as if evaluations, discipline, performance reviews, anything like that, also includes the current chairs of the three boards. That would be enough for me.
That's reasonable.
Yeah.
And I don't want to, I mean, no offense to Haley. My only concern about having the town administrator as being the report to person is I just want to make sure that the land use clerk then doesn't become, I mean, I suppose this can be specified in the job description in their duties, but that it's clear that the land use clerk, their role is specifically to support the ZBA, planning board, and the Conservation Commission, and not to do sort of other peripheral tasks, even if they are sort of land use related for the town. Because I feel like it may then start snowballing and getting bigger and bigger if that's an open-ended source of duties.
Mateo,
don't
it
want more
says
work?
right. It says right in the first sentence.
Yep.
It
Yeah, and
defines
that's
that, yeah.
as long as that's clear in there.
For very clear. I think it's clear.
I did want to offer before, Nate, before you jump off, if we do come to like a consensus tonight, I can polish up this draft and send it to you all for individual comments, and then you can always respond back to me. That way we don't have to call a whole other meeting together.
Yeah. I think that
Yeah,
makes
yeah,
perfect
that's,
sense. Yeah.
Sounds good.
but you wouldn't need to have the personnel board vote on it or whatever after I comment?
Well, what we're gonna do is vote on, our approval of it, but the ultimate approval is the select board. That they will ultimately sign off on it.
And our
So-
vote can be, Nate, our vote can also be, we vote on this draft pending any comment from the Conservation Commission, Planning Board, or ZBA.
Okay. That sounds great. You can kind of like put whatever comments we have as addendum to the document for the
Yeah.
select board to consider for the final version.
Right.
Just another thinking about that question that Matteo raised with the reporting to the town administrator. I was kind of thinking on the other side of that coin, right? Imagine if we run into a situation, right? Especially with the consolidated permit process we're looking at, from the state, where both the Conservation Commission and Planning Board, start getting into some big projects at the same time. You may run into the possibility of overwhelming someone in the land use clerk position if there's just a very high volume of work. And in that case, I would be interested, if possible, if the town hall is able to, provide any kind of backup, right? What happens if in that situation, if whoever's in the land use clerk position ends up being out sick for a couple weeks or have some kind of a family emergency and is unable to do their duty, right? And then, on the other side of that, right, there's other positions in town where, maybe if there's, someone else goes out, you might need to rely on other personnel on town hall to get some jobs done. And that, seems like a reasonable thing for a town administrator to be able to like weigh priorities and make those kind of decisions. In partnership with the various boards involved. That's going like way beyond the scope of this description, obviously, but it's just something to expand on that idea with. And with that, I'll look forward to seeing a draft for comments, and I'm going to sign off. So thank you all for taking this up. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Nathan.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
But with
April?
his last comments, having the town administrator to report to, then that person could go to them and say, I'm overwhelmed, or I'm whatever. He'd have somebody right there to go to, so.
And that's part of the role the town administrator plays, right? So Haley does do a lot of day-to-day stuff and management stuff and that sort of thing, right? That's a real quick summary of her job description. So that is what she's here for, to and then maybe other people can be brought in to help.
Didn't Becky have day-to-day supervisory responsibilities over a number of department heads in town?
Absolutely.
I don't know if that's changed since she left, but the police, the highway, the fire used to kind of coordinate with her on a day-to-day basis, and
And the
ultimately
finance
the
team.
select board would make any real decisions, but day to day it would be the town administrator.
Yeah, so that if
And-
Mateo or whoever was in this position felt overwhelmed, he could easily, go to Haley and say, "I need some help," and then that could be figured out if that was the case, or like Nathan said, if it was a medical emergency, a family emergency, those could be found.
Hey, I also think it's just a good idea, and the fact that the chairs of the committees may change. You know, you may be in a situation where all of a sudden you only have 3 people on the Concom and the Concom is struggling and doesn't have a chair. Nobody wants to be the chair. And to have the land use clerk who's been working with the committees for a number of years have somebody they feel is more the person they report to on a regular basis that isn't necessarily just going to disappear, possibly like the volunteers that are on these committees, I think is sort of important too.
We have been
Alright.
lucky to have long-term volunteers on our committees, but it isn't always a guaranteed thing.
No.
Right.
Okay, so it sounds like the reports to the town administrator that's something we're settled on. And the hours of 14 to 19, that sounds like we're settled there. So are we ready to look at the position summary? And
Sure. Sounds good, April. Let's see.
okay,
Can
does
everybody see that? Because I can increase it if people
Yeah,
would like.
increase would be good. Getting
Okay,
older.
hold on 1 second, Jeff. Hold on.
that's right. You got old volunteers.
Well, I'm looking at it myself and I'm like, I'm not sure I can see that very well.
Well, it creeps up on us.
That looks pretty good.
And let me take this off because not everybody likes that stuff.
Right.
You now know how I work with things. I format as I go.
It's such a ladies. Right, support coordination.
Can I ask what professional management is meant in the in that sentence?
That was kind of popping out at me too.
Well, that's a good
Yeah.
question. I can take a stab at what I might think it is, but I don't know if it would.
Support coordination. Yeah, because that.
Yeah, it's sort of, do you want to get more specific about it? And but that's probably why it's in there, sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah, or change the word professional to administrative management, or, another word.
Maybe
Uh,
professional is supposed to mean paid. A
Oh.
professional person doing that rather than a town volunteer.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Then shouldn't it be professional support, coordination, and management? I guess my concern about management is it makes it sound like that I'm managing the boards, or
Right.
it's actually the other way around, that the boards
Yeah.
are effectively managing the land use clerk.
So maybe professional support.
But
I was
isn't
going to
it
suggest you just say provide support for the Concom and take out coordination and professional management because it doesn't really say anything.
agreed?
Take
Support.
Spoken like an HR.
cut it out like that.
Former.
Cut it out.
Yes.
And sort of along the same vein, I mean, obviously the Concom is the Wetlands Protection Act and the Wetlands Bylaw are relevant just to the Concom, but I don't really understand the point of distinguishing in these two sentences between the Concom and Planning Board and ZBA. It seems to me like it would just make more sense to say the land use clerk provides support for the Conservation Commission, the Planning Board, and the ZBA, including clerical duties and administering relevant bylaws, state law. I mean, because there's also the zoning bylaw, which is pertinent to the ZBA and Planning Board.
Yeah.
Right. But the first sentence already says that. You're kind of repeating yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe
Back that up.
Yeah, I'm not sure why the wetlands bylaw is called out.
I think that it had been and just the prior iterations of it probably had it called out in some way.
so maybe adding to the first sentence, the part to assist them in to assist them in their work, to
Well,
assist them.
Oh, all right, I like,
if you forget that long sentence in the middle with the conservation, if you go down to the last one, the land use clerk performs clerical duties for the Conservation Commission, Planning Board, and ZBA or something. And get rid of that long
Yeah, that'd
sentence.
be great.
Yeah,
And get rid of that.
Yeah.
yeah, I think that makes sense.
Right?
That's better.
More easily accessed.
I don't really like that phrasing.
Which phrasing?
Which phrase?
The easily accessed contact person. I think like point of contact just reads better.
Yeah,
Serves as
And
a
no
point of
access.
contact. Yes.
Yeah. You're on duty 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
We don't want that.
No, we do not. Okay, for the general public. Okay, so does that read, the land use clerk provides support to the Conservation Commission, Planning Board, and the Zoning Board of Appeals?
Is it necessary?
Yeah, do you not, and perform, you don't have to say the land use clerk.
Right.
And performs clerical duties for the conservation.
Yes.
Well, what's the difference between
No,
support
not
and
and.
clerical?
Yeah.
I
Couldn't we
know.
I
just
gotta
add?
get rid of my highlighter there. Okay.
Provide
So-
support and, yeah, if you just in the top sentence say, and clerical duties.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all you really need.
Do you have to say clerical duties if all the duties are itemized in the essential duties and
Good
responsibilities area?
question.
No.
Well, I mean,
So-
if you're thinking about this paragraph as like a top line executive summary of what it is, then I guess you could keep it. But
Yeah.
I was going to ask in that final sentence about whether it's necessary to sort of say at the end, serves as a contact person for the general public in its interactions with the three boards, or something specific to that, just to clarify that they're not the.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about the fact that, like, without a town clerk in the town clerk office right now, often when people come into town hall, the first person office they see is the assessor or me, and they're, oh, there's somebody sitting in there. They can help me with my dog tags.
We should add that.
And all other duties as assigned or not assigned.
Yeah.
All right, so where are we? We have
Does
eliminated
that
the
work
bulk
okay
of,
for you, Mateo?
We're getting,
I'm happy to change any wording there.
Maybe instead of
Forms clerical.
interactions with like responsibilities to the three boards or
Okay.
support of the three boards. Sorry, the position's responsibility
Oh, okay.
or responsibilities to the three boards.
Everybody gets to watch my bad typing.
of the pressure.
Right? Yes.
All right, so is that what we want to say? Performs clerical duties for the Conservation Commission, Planning Board, and the ZBA. The clerk serves as a contact person for the general public within the position's responsibilities to the three boards. I think that makes sense.
Say that again, April.
I was just reading what you had. The clerk serves as the person, the contact person for the general public within the position's responsibilities to the three boards. And dog tags.
Just add an I to positions, Melissa.
Yeah.
Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
Add an I
Somewhere-
to positions.
Oh,
Somewhere
I have
in here, it needs to say that there's contact with the general public. But that's kind of limited to administrative and clerical aspects of what the boards do. If it's a question about what the bylaw says or the zoning act or something like that, I would just assume that those types of inquiries get referred to me directly as the chair.
Mhm.
That's
Um,
why it says within the position's responsibilities, so that it doesn't over. So referring would be one of those.
okay.
All right. So essential duties and responsibilities.
I just want to say that Jeff's point is actually a really important one in that a lot of the initial inquiries that I get from people tend to be like, am I allowed to build this? Is this a buildable lot? Or, can I, is this a wetland area? And I have to respond and say, like, I can't, I don't make that determination. Here's what you need to do. So I don't know if it's appropriate to put a negative description about like, here's something that you don't do in the job, or if there's a way to frame that in the list of essential duties and responsibilities, if there's a way to frame that in a positive way, saying like, I don't know, just sort of
Directs
Yeah.
questions
Direct-
appropriately.
Exactly, directs
person.
people to the appropriate, person.
Or the appropriate chair. Well, I guess it doesn't always have to be the chair, but
Yeah, I
Maybe you
mean,
could just say committee.
Yeah,
appropriate
board or committee.
board member, I guess.
yeah.
Yeah.
Usually the chair, but not always. Like if there's a question about a conservation area, I'll probably go to Scott instead of Beth. No offense, Beth. Or CC Beth because she doesn't get enough emails from me.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
Does that work?
It looks like it does.
Yep.
Okay, so essential duties and responsibilities.
I have one question here. In the interest of being concise, like, do we have to list out, like, I'm sure that Mateo, I would imagine that you maintain regular hours that could be unilateral across the 3 boards, or like you're checking messages across all 3 boards. So
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if there's value in like, if there's a way that we can like lump them as like unilateral responsibilities and then get more specific if it's appropriate to that particular board or not.
Yeah, and this is the distinction between those 2 different job description lists. This is the one that is more focused on by duty than by board, and there's so much of it is the same. I mean, there are obviously important distinctions, but a lot of it is the same. I mean, the phrase Conservation Commission office, I think, is a relic of when that room was referred to that way. Back when it was when Linda was just the sort of conservation agent.
Okay.
Yeah, so how can we make this more concise?
Well, I suppose you could say manages the land use clerk's office and maintains regular office hours.
That makes sense.
You could just say responds to phone messages and emails, directs questions of interpretation to board members as necessary, or to the relevant board members.
Yeah, I like that better than just saying Conservation Commission.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's spelled incorrectly.
Right, there you go.
Okay.
Okay.
The next bullet point doesn't make much sense. You could just say in accordance with
Before we get to that, Matt,
Yeah.
since Anne's not here, I'll jump in, be the grammar police.
Please do.
Can you just add an S to maintain and an apostrophe to clerks?
I can. This is
Yeah,
why
And
go
we'll be
ahead,
happy.
We have to make
Awesome.
sure we find at least one Oxford comma in this whole thing.
That's right.
Okay, I see one right
He'd be
here.
disappointed if we
There's
don't.
one.
There's one missing up in the
There's one
summary.
right there.
Hey, we're in Massachusetts. That's known as the Harvard comma. How do you know?
I got
I
it.
didn't know that. All right. Maintained files from Record Public Records Act, DEP, and the,
Yeah, this doesn't make sense. You could just say the Public Records Act.
Mhm.
I mean, I guess,
It's,
yeah, those aren't acts, those are entities,
Right.
right?
the comma needs to become a period.
I'm trying to think about
the-
I guess there's the Massachusetts Records Retention Law. I don't know, Haley, if there's anything else that should be in there.
No, I think that covers it.
The town doesn't have any record policies, right?
No, not a standalone one.
Yeah, just say Massachusetts Records Retention Law, in case we have one.
Oh, law. Okay. I couldn't remember if there was a law, so I said guidelines because,
Yeah.
but.
So does the next bullet make sense?
The office forms?
Yeah.
I would say yes, except that I wouldn't change. Well, so internal forms like the checklist, I think the land use clerk should be free to clarify if there are problems on it, but not to change the checklist if it would substantively change, like add new steps or anything. And definitely not to change any of the forms that like the public uses without the board. I mean, it's the board that should do that, and the clerk just maintains them. So I guess it depends on what we mean by office forms. Or if it's as simple as just saying sort of like in consultation with or with permission of the boards, I guess. I don't know if the chairs think of that. But
Well, I wouldn't
Yeah.
want any change to the checklist because they're based on state law and our local bylaw.
no, I'm not talking about changing items on them. I'm talking about like changing the formatting.
Yeah, like a non-substantive change.
Yeah,
Well,
so like
maybe-
for example, one of the Concom checklists was missing, didn't have a date line next to an item where there should have been a date line. So I
Mhm.
added that in. I don't think that's something that one would need to go to the board for, but
Yeah.
anything else, I don't think the land use clerk should change anything, for the reason that Jeff mentioned, right? That they're
Right.
based on MGL.
yeah, I would change permission maybe to coordination with or consultation with, so it sounds more like you're working with the board on developing it.
Or in coordination, perhaps.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah.
Okay. How about manages office equipment and supplies? What does that mean?
Means I go to Brennan and ask him how to change the printering.
That's
Or
right.
beat up the printer if it's not working.
Well, actually, this is before Brennan existed,
Yeah.
That position. Not before he was born, I don't think. But, so does that make sense to have that and manage office equipment and supplies?
Yeah,
Whatever.
yeah,
Okay,
I think that's reasonable. It doesn't preclude going to Brennan and asking how to change
No,
something.
not at all.
right. Updates. Okay, updates informational bulletin boards and maintains current DEP, WPA, planning board, and ZBA forms.
Seems like we just dealt with the forms a few items up.
That may be a spot to mention the webpage.
Yeah.
It's not really bulletin boards. Well, we do still have bulletin boards, but we also now have web page that Mateo works with.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Do we
uh,
want
add web
this
pages
part
and
here?
get
Do
rid of
we-
forms.
I would make webpage
I'm
plural
sorry.
because each board has its own.
Yeah.
Do this. Board web pages.
Yeah.
And then how is this last part of the sentence here? Does that
I wonder if that is meant to mean like that the clerk is responsible for making sure the public has access to those necessary forms, like having a physical copy on hand in the office in case somebody requests one. I don't. Maybe that's what it means. I don't know.
well, do you feel like that's
Yeah.
what you do?
So,
Rather than, you wouldn't necessarily
I mean, it's almost always digital.
I also would change there's a boards and board web pages. I would put, if we could capitalize the board and web pages. So I distinguish it, and board, and that would have to also be possessive, I think.
boards.
Yeah. Is that right, Kathy?
With an apostrophe, yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, that looks better.
No, we need our little Harvard Oxford thing.
Yep, thank you.
I'm wondering why it says DEP WPA, Planning Board and ZBA, instead of saying Conservation Commission, Planning Board and ZBA forms. I mean, most of
Yeah. You could
forms-
definitely change it. It makes more sense to say it that way. In the end, the forms that we use are typically the Wetlands Protection Act forms, but I think that writing it this way makes more sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that looks good.
So here's a question. What's the difference between an office duty and board support? Because I think you could honestly get rid of that header and just continue the bullet list.
I mean, this here.
Yeah.
Serves as liaison and town officials.
And because Mateo, sorry, you're still doing that for all three boards. You're the liaison for ZBA and planning board.
I think Haley does make a good suggestion. And I think maybe we get rid of this title and just leave it under essential duties and responsibilities rather
Yeah.
than
Yeah,
separate office. And
I'd like,
separate.
yes,
yeah.
I think that makes sense.
That's gone. And then we'll take this away.
Yep.
And honestly, Melissa, if it's helpful, I can clean some of this up in post. If it's just
Yeah, yeah,
changing the
yeah.
wording and adding commas.
I
So-
tend to be a very comma heavy person when I write, so I tend to
Yeah.
err on the side of not doing too many commas and then find that I don't do enough.
Yeah.
So in that first first bullet there, getting rid of Conservation Commission and replacing it with the boards.
Yeah.
That would be lowercase b. Right?
And then the possessive plural.
Oops.
But that's one board. Would you put the comma after the S?
Yes,
The comma goes after the S?
Mhm.
Because it's three
Yes.
boards.
Nice catch.
Say that again.
the apostrophe goes after the S.
Yep.
This is a nice grammar school review.
Personnel
it
board
has
bringing
become one.
grammar back to life.
Yes.
Put other town boards in
Don't
front
let-
of that second boards.
Don't let teachers on your boards, huh?
Say that again, Beth.
in front of the second boards, put other town boards or just other town. I think your font changed.
It did. That's what happened. I pulled it in from turned the PDF into a Word document, so the font is not consistent when you do that all the way through. You have to go back and do that piece.
Mm.
Anything
So
else?
do you,
Get rid of by the Conservation Commission. Develop meeting agendas for review. But it's not just for them.
Yeah, and I would also say in response to that, it's not the clerk doesn't so much develop them as
compile?
compile them. It's really the chair who says this should go on and this should go on. And then like Nathan prefers to do his agendas entirely on his own and post his meetings on his own. So different chairs will have different, preferences, but I think compiling or coordinating makes more sense.
Yeah, coordinates meeting agendas with board chairs. You probably do that with the chairs, right?
Yeah.
Then you can just narrative for review. I would just get rid
Hence
of
public meetings.
review isn't necessary there.
Oop. The S jumped.
Attends public meetings.
Of the boards. I mean,
Yes.
I attend that for fun
Yeah.
too.
Attends public
The
meetings.
boards, of the boards. Minutes.
Takes and prepares minutes.
Minutes For
Uh,
the meeting minutes of the boards.
Yeah. I would get rid of as needed too. I mean, it's pretty rare that, that's I think the huge core of the job, at least it has been for me in terms of catching up with
Yeah.
the past ones, but yeah.
Hearings, schedules, meetings, hearing appointments, and site visits with agenda. Huh.
So for this one, I think that again, it's probably more accurate to say coordinates the scheduling of
Yeah.
meetings, because again, it's really up to the board members to be, it's when are they available, right?
Site visits with the general public and
Yeah.
and then
Harvard
eliminate that.
Common, right there.
Yeah, for the boards.
For the
Yeah,
board.
for the boards.
I feel
Wow, the
like
Conservation Commission used to be so important. I'm not sure what happened.
Who needs to, yeah.
We're nipping at your heels tonight.
Those are quite site visit.
that's kind
That
of
redundant?
here.
That is
Yeah.
redundant.
Yeah, that's redundant.
What's the backpack?
Oh my
Yeah.
God, there used to be a site visit backpack.
Oh, did they?
A bug out bag.
It's like, is it backpack?
I think there is a bag somewhere in the office. I assumed it was a go bag or something.
You should put it in like a case for history.
Yes.
I mean, I don't think any of that is really relevant anymore. The commissioner who
No.
does the site visit is usually the one who does that.
Their own
Well, and it
backpack.
also mentions the site visits up here too, right? So
Yeah.
Right.
we can
Yeah.
probably
Just
toss
wipe
that
that-
away.
Yep.
It's fine. Okay.
So this would be tracks balances in the board's accounts. What does that mean?
I mean, all three of the boards have expense accounts and some other accounts as well. Like the Concom has its,
Okay.
but I mean, I'm not sure what tracks balances means.
We have an accountant.
Well,
Uh,
I don't keep track of the balances that well, and a few times I've asked you, Mateo, what are the Conservation Commission balances? And you track them.
That's
So,
because it's posted on the website, right? Haley, is it still being posted?
That's, yeah, yep.
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah,
Who
the
cares now?
accountant, doesn't the accountant report have that?
Yeah.
So
She does, but she's not necessarily gonna know if like if you're spending too much, right? Like if you've got something coming in that is gonna overdraw your account. By the time she gets the bill, the service is usually already incurred.
okay.
I mean, I suppose you can keep it in there because it is something that I would be able to do, or I would be responsible for doing if a board member asked for it. I would just change that to the board's accounts again, because the
Yep.
ZBA does have its own expense line.
Do you do the budgets for the boards or do they do it themselves?
I asked the chairs if there are any changes or updates each year. And then I submit the budget form. Which also reminds me actually that another significant piece of it is drafting the annual report in consultation with the chair. So that should be in here as its own budget, its own bullet point.
So it would be track balances in the board's accounts.
Yeah.
You must do it for each board, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And
I'm
I would
sorry,
say,
April.
And I guess on that one is it not, it's just put it the boards on the track balances up there.
And I would add coordinate annual budgets with the chairs or the boards.
Okay, a separate bullet item or in the,
I think you could keep the fiscal items together.
okay. Cool. And you said the board's chair?
with the board chairs. I would also make. I
How
would
about
make
we put coordinates the budget and then tracks balances, right? So the budget comes before the balances. And does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Mhm.
I would also make, sorry, budgets plural because each board has its
Oh,
own.
yeah. Good catch.
I have a question about field visits before we get off of that. Mateo, when I'm working with my two members or even the associate member to try to schedule a field visit, go look at some sites, you're not involved in any way in that, are you? There's no notice of that. You don't go on them. Is that your understanding?
My understanding, because I specifically asked about this during the interview. At the time, I was told that I'm encouraged and welcome to go on site visits, but not required to. I have gone on. I think I went on one for the planning board. I don't think I've gone to any for the ZBA. As far as scheduling for the ZBA goes, usually, and this is true also for the Concom, my role is basically just finding out when the board members can do it and then sort of presenting that as a done deal to the applicant. Like this is when they can do it. So this is when you need to be available for them.
Okay, so your role is sort of liaison between the board and the applicant on setting up the field visits.
Yeah, and I'm I'm willing to have the conversation about, going on site visits. I don't know how much the land use clerk is going to contribute because they're not the, you know, they're not the board member, right? They're not the decider. And they don't have authority to sort of be making any kind of determinations. So I don't know if requiring the clerk to attend the site visit is going to contribute much other than sort of record keeping.
True. There's that, and I would also say that cuts into your hours. If you're only you go up to 19 and you have to do the site visits, that'll pull you away.
I mean, I guess, Jeff, are you suggesting something along the lines of maybe adding language that says attends a site visits if requested by the chair?
I can't see any, I wouldn't want it to happen on a regular basis because that would just eat into your hours, whereas probably you're not essential to that. I think the coordination idea, with the applicant, you and I discuss something, we have an applicant, and then I go back and contact Michael and my other members, and we get some dates, and then you go out back to the applicant with those dates and tell us which one works, and then that's what we do. I think that's probably the right role. Can you think of an instance where it would be essential for you to be on site? There's no deliberations at site visits. It's just, we can ask questions of the applicant, but we can't say, that doesn't look too good over there. I think you should go over here. We can't do anything like that. We just ask questions and observe and make sure we don't deliberate.
Yeah, if it's not a posted meeting, then there's no minutes being taken. And, other than that, any materials like records and stuff that might be needed by the board member, can be supplied in advance. There's no need to have their clerk there with them. I mean, I can't think of anything specifically about, other than sort of the clerk's own education about a particular case. I don't know what would be gained.
Well, is there a way that we could, just sort of leave it open? I mean, do we have to actually write it here or leave it open? I think educational purposes, it might be a good idea so you can see, what's actually happening in some of these cases and, what we're dealing with. Not everyone, but some that could be a little bit gnarly. Yeah.
But you could put on
Yeah.
this, you could put on this line here that, attend site visits when needed.
Or yeah, or when requested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should that be under the attends public meetings of the boards, site visits when required?
Yes.
But you just said a site visit isn't posted in any way.
Right. So I'm just thinking about, since that line is about attendance expectations, you could say attends public meetings of the boards and site visits when requested, or
Well, hold on.
and attends site visits when requested, to make it clear that the when requested is not applicable to attends public meetings. Or you can make it a different sentence, right? Attends public meetings of the boards, period. Attends site visits when requested.
Well, here's something to consider. In a perfect world, all the boards are in harmony and everyone's good friends. But what if you were requested by one board to attend a meeting and you only have 19 hours in the week and it's not really feasible and it's not something that you are going to directly contribute to? I'm just weary about putting requested in, where I think that could be something that causes issues. Because what if all the boards wanted you to attend a meeting and it's not a day that you regularly work, or they want you to come 3 different meetings in the same week, that kind of thing. Like that might not, I think that might be something where you would talk to the person like in the normal course of your job. I don't think it's something that you want to commit to on a job description. But that's just me.
Well, Haley, you make a good point. What happens if it's written attends site visits occasionally
When requested.
when requested? to
But
not
it's the
go back
requested
to-
part,
Oh,
because that's the part that's the sticking point. You know, if available, I think is
if
a
available.
good way to
we would
go.
need it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
When requested and if available, or because if it's just if available, that makes it sound like, well, if I have any availability at that time, it is expected that the land use clerk will attend the site visit. But if it is,
Could say time
Mm.
permitting, because, you know, we still have
Yeah.
to work within your hours.
But is that really a necessary function of the land use clerk to go to the site visits?
No, not on a regular basis at all, but,
You,
um,
you could say
if-
attend
if-
site
if-
visits occasionally if time permits, if work hours within the week permit or something.
Yeah, I think Matteo made a good point that sometimes seeing these cases, seeing how the board operates and the kinds of things that we weigh and consider is generally helpful to someone who's going to be in this position for a, you know, long period of time.
should the, I guess, then should the impetus then be placed on the land use clerk to make the decision to attend the site visit and say, attend site visits if, how to phrase it?
I still feel like if available is your best bet, because you might have like you might be available, but if there's something else you could be doing that's more aligned with the typical job functions, I think you could make an argument that, you know, you weren't really available to go. And I don't know about anyone else, but that's certainly not something I would ever really go over.
How does that look?
How does that feel?
I like it because, as Mateo said, it's almost indicating that the land use clerk gets to kind of decide whether or not they're going. You know, requested kind of put it more on there being asked to do it. This
Right.
is sort of like if they want to go and they are available, occasionally they can go because as he said, and I remember Carrie had interest in going to site visits. She wanted to know what these places looked like that she was working on. So I think it looks good.
Okay. Right, down.
Okay, so we'll go
Okay.
back down here.
I would get rid of 20 point and just say maintains checklists for the boards.
Yeah,
Yeah,
or any checklists adopted by the boards.
Adopted by the boards.
Yeah.
okay.
Didn't seem to like it. 2 words.
For the annual report, I would say drafts, or I would say in consultation with the chair or in collaboration with the chair, drafts the annual report for each board. Because I think technically speaking, that it's the chair who has to submit, whose name is the submitter of the report.
Multiple chairs. Yes.
The syntax of that last bullet point is wild.
Yeah.
Submits to local newspaper hearing notices.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's translated out of German.
Yes.
Oh, it's got some funky stuff going on.
Hmm.
How about if we make it sound a little better?
Also, that's not
That's not any better.
no, that is correct, but it's the I'm trying to remember here. For the Concom, it is the applicant, right, who submits the notice, correct? and for the ZBA and planning
Yeah.
board, it's the town that submits the notice. So the Concom, the chair and the land use clerk give the applicant the language that they need to run in the paper, but we don't actually run the notice. They do it and they have to pay for it.
Why is that? It's one of those things.
Yeah, it's just been that way.
That might have something to do with state law.
Yeah.
They do pay for it supposedly in the fees that they submit with their application. It's supposed to cover the town's costs in doing this in the paper.
Does it cover it, Jeff?
Well,
it's not a lot of people are applying.
It's a moving target. That's how our local newspapers are staying alive, is through these things.
I remember something, and I don't remember if it was with I forget which board it was. I remember a discussion. Anyway, that they would no, it was with the poll hearings that we would assess an upfront fee for the hearing notice, and if it was more, we would bill Verizon or National Grid or EverSource the remainder.
Let's see, submits hearing notices. Who writes the hearing notices?
Again,
I've written lots of them, but I can't remember whose official responsibility it is. Is that it? Do the chairs do that, Mateo? And then you take it from there?
It's technically the chair, yeah. But I think the way it is often worked, at least since I've started doing it, is that there is kind of a boilerplate. And I will adjust that boilerplate as fits the case. But then it's up to the chair to say, yes, that's good, or no, change this or change that. And technically it's the chair who's responsible for signing off on it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm fine with you preparing it and then I just look at it.
Does that feel better? No.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. So, no supervisor. So 2-year associate's degree, that makes sense.
You got that, Mateo?
What more on it?
Get rid of my widow words. All right.
Email and web. How does that section look?
I would change helpful to preferred.
He's gonna yell at me.
Just make associates possessive with an apostrophe there.
So what does must be knowledgeable, skilled, and self-directed? Knowledgeable. What is that meaning?
Generally,
Dude, that's really big.
It's a
Knowledgeable
weird
in state
sentence
law?
entirely.
Yeah.
No, I
Must
think
be
this.
knowledgeable, skilled, and self-directed while assisting boards, town boards, commissioner, and committees in execution of their work.
I agree with Kathy. Just take that out.
Says. Yeah, that's what all of this actually says.
Right.
Isn't that just
Yeah.
assumed with all the rest?
You could just get rid of it.
Yeah.
Actually, can we get rid of computer literacy and change that?
That's an old-fashioned term, isn't it?
Yeah.
What would you like to change that to?
I think you should probably just say proficiency in computer programs including.
Could say computer coder,
Yeah,
and we'll really get a value for our money.
true.
I won an award for speed typing in high school, and the prize,
Did you?
yeah, the prize was a pen.
Really cool. Do you still have it?
Oh, that's funny.
I think I might. So,
Oh, this is
Was
such
it
an
mixed?
old way of putting it too. Word processing and spreadsheets.
Yeah.
Do you
I
type
mean,
with all your
what
fingers?
programs
Yeah,
do we,
you
is
type
it,
with
are
all
we
your
all
fingers?
Microsoft stuff? Yeah, in, at Town Hall
Microsoft, yeah, and Google.
yeah,
and Google.
I mean, the land use clerk computer now is a Mac. It's an Apple computer.
We gotta change that for you.
What?
Oh, sorry. I thought you were saying that like it
He
was a
likes
bad thing. Oh, sorry.
That's a
Forget I
good
said anything.
Do you want to just summarize that and just say office technology?
Ah,
Yes. Proficient in
Since it's ever
office.
changing?
Yes.
I like that. Sounds better than literacy. And
Technology, yes.
oops.
I'm sorry, I have to go.
Oh no.
Good
Just
luck.
getting to the
Can
fun
I,
part.
as with Nate, you'll be sending this out, right, for us,
Yes,
for the
yeah.
chairs to take a look at.
Yes. And then it will
Okay.
go back to Haley and then to the select board.
Right. Okay. Great. Well, it's looking good so far.
Thank you for coming, Beth.
All right, sure. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Here's one that ability to communicate effectively with diverse groups and individuals. How about a wide group, widely diverse group of individuals?
You could say that, or you could just say diverse populations. That kind of covers everything.
Yep.
The other just felt clunky.
Yep.
And then the physical demands.
So I don't know, Kathy, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on it. I don't necessarily agree with putting in physical demands for the job. I think it's kind of outdated, but I'm willing to be told otherwise.
Well,
I remember there
I
being a
still
reason
see
we
them in
started
job
adding them.
descriptions.
Yeah.
Mm.
You know, I think if they're not harmful, just leave them in. You know,
Okay.
I think from an essential functions and ADA perspective,
Mhm.
it's probably a good idea to keep those sections in.
Okay.
And how about
Most
the work
times a job like
environment?
this, you'd skim over that stuff, but you know, if there's an occasion to do site visits, maybe it would be pertinent.
Yeah.
Okay, how about the work environment? Yeah.
It's interesting what moderate means for this type of work and what moderate means in what I do for a living.
Mhm.
The two are very different.
Mm.
Yeah. And I think that's the last. Oh, wait.
That looks pretty standard.
Looks boilerplatey.
Yeah.
Yep, I think it is. Wow.
You know, actually, we should have a line down here for when the personnel board goes over it too, because if you review it and there's no changes, it would be nice to know that the personnel board reviewed it, and when there's changes, the select board approves it. Wouldn't it be a great idea to have
I like that.
Personnel
Reviewed
board?
by,
related in some way?
so, so reviewed by the personnel board? But approved,
I always spell this
yeah,
word incorrectly.
That's it.
I do too.
And we vote on it too, right? So we can put
Yeah.
reviewed, voted. And then put the date.
Yeah, that looks good.
Yeah,
Or
but
something
ultimately the
thereof.
approval's the
Haley
select
will make it
board.
look beautiful. I know she will.
I know she will.
No worry.
Okay, so how do people feel about this finished product?
Oh, let me save it so we lose nothing.
Yeah,
I'm going to take these guys out because I don't think they're pertinent anymore.
yeah,
I think you should also remove the grade because I don't think you
Yeah.
do that anymore, right?
well, we haven't done that. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Oh, yeah, yeah. And then we have to put a salary now per Mass General
Yeah.
Law.
uh,
Do we know what our current salary range is for the position?
So when I was appointed in September of 2024, it was quoted to me as $19 to $25 per hour.
Okay, we can figure that out.
Okay.
Do we want to put the hourly rate, or we want to just put the salary number? What are
It's
the
hard.
other ones, Haley?
It's hard to put the salary number if you don't have, the same fixed hours.
Yeah.
That's right. That's a good point.
It's paid hourly
wait,
though, right?
hang on. Let's
Yep.
see what it is. Let's see times
Yep.
14 times 26.
Should that say pay range rather than salary range if it's paid as an hourly
Yep.
position?
Or you could just put hourly rate, have a number there. Because I think I agree, like if you do a range, is it the range between 14 to 19? Or is it the range between how much I can make?
You said 25, right, Mateo?
That's what it was
Something
when
like
I was hired.
Okay.
And all of this is going to get reviewed again.
Do we want to increase the range a little bit at the top end?
I think we probably should, but we're trying to do that. The personnel board's trying to do that in the context of all employees. And also in comparison, I don't know if this is a position that's in if it's around in Franklin County, if other towns have this position. I mean,
We should
our
add it
goal
to
is
our
to be
list, though.
competitive. Yeah.
Should add it to that list if it is found there.
I think Jeff would probably have better insight into that.
Well, there's certainly people who perform this. I don't exactly know their salaries. There's one in Charlemont who is called clerk to the boards and does 5 or 6 boards. There's another administrative person in Ashfield that does at least the planning board. I'm not sure if he does any other boards. Those are highly competent people who
Mhm.
who I deal with all the time as a consultant. So I don't know. That would be comparable to Mateo, I think. And the 19 to 25 was a while back. Maybe Mateo's not going to the top of the range now, but at least provides some headroom there.
Yes, and we also have to put it in the context of other positions in town that, but
Some other towns call it like administrative assistant or appeals clerk. So maybe if we look for like those kind of titles, we'll get better sense of the
That would-
average.
Conservation
That,
agent.
that would
another-
help.
Yes.
That would
Yep.
help. We really want to pay people fairly. So is the job title, is that the appropriate job title?
I mean, I think it's a good title. I think it's pretty clear, and that's it because it what those three boards really have in common, which is the management of town land, or not town-owned land, but land in town.
Yeah, I'm happy with that title.
So shall we leave the salary range there with the caveat that there may be changed as when the personnel board and the finance committee look at salaries for the town employees in general?
You could do that, but I think what we're doing now is just kind of revising like the current job description.
Mhm.
We know that we have to look at all the positions, during
Yep.
this budget cycle. I don't know that we need to do that, but if you wanted, you could put like an asterisk in there.
Yeah.
We can do that. We can put an asterisk. How's that work? Good?
I like that.
Okay.
I like that. Okay, so looking on at what we have done. I mean, this looks pretty good to me. So should we just scroll through it quickly and then
Yeah.
call it a night? And we should vote on it.
Okay. So I'll scroll slowly. Let me know if I'm going too quickly.
Looks good to me.
So
So,
want me to make a motion, April?
yeah, so let's make a motion
Okay.
To accept the revised land use clerk job description.
I'm
Pending any edits from the individual boards.
Excuse me, are we supposed to vote on this or make a motion
No,
or just
this is
No,
the personnel board.
just personnel? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Sit back.
I make a
The person-
motion to accept the changes done tonight to the job description of the land use clerk.
Is there a second?
Second,
Okay, roll call vote by alphabetical order. This is a trick.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye.
Richter, aye.
Salvador, I.
And Stein, aye.
I've never been the first in alphabetical order.
I know. It's about time. Well, thank you all for your hard work.
You didn't know the end of the alphabet all lives on Montague Road?
That's right. How did that happen?
Haley, I'll
Yes.
save this and I'll send it right to Haley before I shut my
Great.
computer down, so she'll have it. in her
Thank
hand.
you
Oh, I'll send
so
it to the board
much.
too, so everybody has it. But
Okay.
Thank you.
thank you, Mateo and Jeff.
There's some
Okay.
cooking
night,
going on.
all.
Great.
Good night.
Okay, it's getting late.
Yeah.
It is. One thing, we are getting all of a little noise in the background here. We are getting the job descriptions uploaded and reviewed, and I think we just need to keep working on that project. I also noticed on the organizational chart for the town, the personnel board is not there. So I'd like to see if that could be added.
Well, that's
I don't
a
know how
problem.
that I don't know how that happened.
Given our assigned duties.
Exactly. That was one of those things I just noticed, and I was wondering, do we need to take a vote, or should we just suggest that we be added to that chart?
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Who has that chart in a file that
Wait a minute.
preceded?
I think. Oh shoot! Where did it go? Oh,
Do you have
look
it?
what I got. Yes,
Look at you. Here, I'll stop
I
sharing.
did it.
Congratulations.
Yay! It's the first
There's a
time.
lot of wins this week.
Mhm.
Congratulations. That's great. That's still a PDF though.
Thank you,
but-
Fen. Yeah. This is not new.
No, but I think way back, because this happened when I was when it was the 3 M's on the select board.
Yep.
So I think I might have probably the Word form
Mm.
for this, and I can look back in my files.
Do you want me
And I'm
just to redo this? Because
Or you
even
can
like,
redo it. Yeah, that's fine.
because
Yes.
like the accountant, well, as far as I understand my job, to be like select board, TA, then departments.
Yep.
So I can revamp it. Maybe I'll add some color too. It's very
Oh,
blue.
thank you.
It needs
Make
to-
it the town feel as well, Haley.
Yeah,
Make
that'd
it
be good.
official.
I just want to say I have 2 things to announce to you before we end, and I don't want to forget that I have to do that.
Okay. So what are those 2 things?
Brennan would very much appreciate if someone could send him an annual report, if you have not done so already. And Ellen would
Okay.
like to be added to the next agenda. She wants to talk about the hours of her position. So maybe that's another job description we could do.
We could do it at the same time. That's
same.
a great idea.
Mhm.
And I will make that one a PDF next. Then I was going to go through them all.
Okay.
But
And let me
make
see
that
if
one.
I will try to pull together an annual report. That totally fell off the plate. And something that we need to get prepared for in the not too distant future is looking at the wage salary scale and comparing it with the other towns. And FERCog, I looked on that website. They don't have fiscal year 26 yet. So
True.
as soon as that comes out, we can look at our salaries, see if there's anything that needs to
Oh
be
yeah,
adjusted.
isn't that out usually now?
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
I haven't either.
Yeah,
April, I'm fading. I'm gonna sign
yeah.
off.
Okay.
I think we're all fading.
I think I am too. Okay, so do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
I
All
second.
right. Roll call. Melissa, take it away.
Aye.
Richter, aye.
Salvador, aye.
And Stein, aye. Thank you all very much.
Thanks
You guys
all.
did a
Bye-bye.
great job. Okay.
That's a lot of
take
work.
care. That was a lot of work. Now I can't find how to end the meeting. How do I end the meeting?
Bye.
Never mind. Bye-bye, everybody. Take care. Oh, there.
Bye,
Stop
everybody.
sharing. There it is.
Bye.
Okay.